Firstly, to students of IAS Gurukul, I wish you all the luck, and you would need it. Luck is one thing we require in this exam, and hard work, no question about it. I hope you do really, really well in the coming attempts, and I hope you get through this year itself. A few things. One, first and foremost, right? Please get your foundation right. Sociology, if you're doing a sociology optional, get the thinkers right. You should know how the thinkers can be applied across concepts and what are the specific concepts of each thinker. Without that, going into the second paper, I would not advise, because there also it is very important that you understand it from a first paper's point of view. So do the first thinker part very well, even if it takes time. Do not run. Do not run. You would understand the cost later on if you ran through entire thing, right? That's one. Secondly, as IAS Gurukul does, answer writing. Start answer writing. Start it. Even if you think that you can't write anything, start scribbling something. We need it as pen on paper, right? At the end of the day, that is the exam. If you're only studying and if you're not writing answers, you're not confronting the exam. That's some kind of an escapism that you're keeping on building notes and whatnot, right? So that is the second thing I would like to say. And finally, be consistent. And everyone says this, it's a cliche, but it has truth. Be consistent in your effort.
Very well put. Okay, now can you please share with us the decision-making process regarding the choice of your optional subject? Because that's one thing that UPSC literally spoils you for, right?
Yeah,
Choice when it comes to the optional, and most students find it quite bewildering actually. So if you can also share with them what were your criteria and what criteria that can they possibly use, right, while deciding on the optional.
Three things, especially before I go into those three things, let me tell you, who is watching this, without getting a good score in optional, it's very difficult for us to get the rank we want. We might end up in the list, but not the service we want, right? So the optional is a space where we are going to score, and the more time we spend with it, there is a more work output correlation with the optional than with the GS. The more you work with the optional, the more marks you're going to get. With GS, that kind of a straight line correlation does not exist, right? Sometimes it does click, sometimes it doesn't.
Yes.
On the other hand, how to choose your optional? Three things. One, your interest. You need to be interested in the subject you're learning. Please find out, watch multiple YouTube videos on toppers who are using this optional. What are the download the syllabus of optional, read it. Do you like it? Then only take it. Don't run for the things that people tell you. This anthropology is good. Everybody is taking it. If you go there and if you end up with a bad optional, it is terrible to change the optional in between. It destroys your prep to a large extent. Please don't do that.
Yes.
Second, if you are working professional, I was a working professional at that time when I was preparing for UPSC, so I never thought of quitting my work, though I had to. I decided for an optional which was cogent in syllabus and also concise. Sociology fitted that bill, that's why I chose it. Secondly, also it had an institutional infrastructure for coaching. I wanted someone to teach me and also someone to give me questions. I want to write answers, and it had to be evaluated, right? So institutional setup for optionals, if that is available, please leverage it. It's very good. You also know the competition. A lot of people are there in your optional. Then you also know kind of get the competition that is there. Third, what was the other thing? Wait, the third one. I was also preparing with work, so I wanted something that would overlap with GS because I did not want to study an isolated optional, right? When I'm reading, I took sociology because it will help me in paper 1, social issues, and paper 2, polity to an extent, right? So this is why I chose sociology. Three things: interest. Second is an institutional infrastructure to coach you. And third one is the intersection with GS.
And if one has to choose from amongst these three, the deciding factor should be one's interest. Will that be correct?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, another thing, like, were you contemplating between some subjects, like most students do, say between pol science and sociology and PubAd, or had you zeroed down first?
Yeah, I was thinking of political science and sociology. I really like political science. I'm really interested in it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's political science and international affairs. There's a lot of things to learn. Not possible for me with the 9 hours of work.
So sociology trumped pol science because of the size of the syllabus, or were there any other factors as well?
No, the only reason for me not to choose political science was because it was too big.
Great. Okay, so how was your optional? Did it help you in your essay papers?
Yeah, definitely. Sociology has a lot in essays. especially some topic is given like let's say education, right?
Yes.
So at the end of the day, there's an education essay on education. So you have to see education as a cake, right? And this is how I feel about it. You see education as a cake, and then sociology has given you multiple knives to cut it. So initially you use the knife of the gender to cut it, so it opens in a particular manner. So then you write about that, but you don't write the name gender or anything in the essay, but in your head that's happening, right?
Yes.
And then you take the knife of, let's say, caste, you slice it, class, you slice it. So all dimensions come out where your entire what do you say cognizance is structured in a manner where you are a sociologist but you show it as a generalist. So it's really helpful to have a social science at your helm, right, at your dispense, especially when you're writing essay.
So, what all sources or standard books did you refer for sociology optional?
Sociology initially, see, I had two levels of prep here. One
Yeah.
with my first attempt, second with my second attempt. Because the
Correct.
first attempt I got only 272 in sociology. It's an average score. It's not good enough for you to actually push yourself,
Yes.
push your ranks. So in the first attempt, I covered the traditional syllabus really well. I do in anything in GS or in optional. One thing I do very thoroughly is whatever is traditional, whatever is foundational, I do it to the core before I move to any kind of value add or anything that people say no. These are the books everyone is saying this is the foundation. Like Harlumber's blue book, selected chapters, and then the orange book, selected chapters. I had done thoroughly for paper one,
Great.
and also IGNOU's BA material. Right?
Also?
From these, I have IGNOU's BA material.
Okay.
IGNOU BA sociology material. So
Yeah.
from all these three, I had notes prepared. I never do anything passively. I always make notes. That's something that you should be doing because that exercises your memory, and secondly, you're more involved in your studies. So I do that. I'm a rigorous note taker. All my preparation has been managed with notes. So first that was done, and then I had a shorter note, a second iteration note prepared from it. Because the whole thing, if you have it in an essay format, it will be very difficult for you to revise. A second iteration is required. I even go for a third iteration. I'm not going to push that here. But second iteration notes were prepared, and then I went in for the exam in 2018. Though my sociology suffered, I came back. I was looking at toppers videos in next year who had scored very high in sociology, like someone had scored 330 something. Or this guy Vishal Shah, I remember his name. He's an IAS from 2018, I think. Yeah. So I was looking at his lectures, and what he had done is he has found case studies from Mint, case studies from all the places, added new relevant current affairs examples, which I had not done last year. So I started hunting for them left, right, center, because my foundational material was ready. My value addition is much more easy now. So I just have to take data from somewhere, push it here, take, push. And then I made the third iteration of notes with the foundational material in the most succinct manner, added with the examples from the.
Okay. Now this very multiple level of notes making. Now a lot of students, frankly, wouldn't you find it somewhat wasteful of your time? Given
No.
that
I don't see. I don't think so, because at the end of the day, this is a paper pen exam, and as you go for iterations after iteration, that's exactly when this material and when this subject gets into your blood. Your recall should be as soon as possible. You can't sit in the exam and think Weber's interpretatism, and then you're thinking for a definition. Wow, very good. You're not going to complete the paper. Yeah,
Very good.
that has to come through a reflex, and that can be done only through multiple revisions and multiple note making. This is like I follow what do you say for that foolproof method. I don't have other methods here. And anyways, the exam has enough risks here. Why do you want to introduce more risks into it?
Absolutely. So you
Right?
think it's time well spent? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's created a work ethic in me. I am going to carry that work ethic across my life.
Possibly UPSC, makes you do that before you clear this exam.
Yeah.
Build it into the
True.
preparation process.
True.
Now, one question that a lot of sociology optional students are confronted with in their preparation is that how do you make your answers sociological? Right? They ask me time and again, or how should they distinguish their sociology answers from their general studies answers? And that's particularly acute. This issue is particularly acute in paper 2, sociology, where
Yes.
topics, a lot of them, they seem quite DS type. Yeah. What would be your advice for that?
See, I think of sociology in two manners. So one, I have this axis, the cake analogy I've told you, right? One is that. The other, on the other side, the thinker's axis. So what I do is I take one question, I see which is appropriate. So let's say I'm going for thinkers this time. I go through thinkers serially. So I start with Durkheim. I'm thinking that Durkheim, I have four axes of Durkheim. I have social fact of him. I have a religion of him. I have what is that? Mechanics of solidarity of these things, right? Solidarity, all those concepts. So all those concepts are available. As when I open Durkheim, these things come out like this. So I'm looking at them. Anything can be applied here or not, right? Anything can be applied. I write it. Yeah. And then I go to Marx. I have all the concepts again. I look at everything. Can it be inserted next? And I'm very fast with this because I've been dealing with questions multiple questions across. So this kind of an analysis go through, and when I finish it, I come to Indian thinkers. Then I see whether that can be applied. So by the time I go one iteration, I have almost a diversity of points. One that is very important, and some amount of depth also with the concept. On the other hand, if I'm looking at it as from a social variable perspective, I'm looking at first I look at class, caste, gender. It is one way to go, right? But I would prefer always a thinker method because that's more sociology. I feel it. Like if I have a thinker method, I go for it. Otherwise, I go for the take method.
And how about those questions, Vivek, where which frankly you couldn't have prepared about, right? At least from a sociological perspective, like you had on forest fires, you had something on demonetization. Yeah.
Yes.
Those questions, no
I
matter
leave
what
them.
you
I
left
leave
them.
them.
Yeah.
No. Demonetization I did too.
Yes. So how would you approach those? Because point is this exam does require some sort of thinking on your feet in the examination hall.
Yeah. So there are some universal thinkers here. Merton, latent
Yes.
function, manifest function, anywhere.
Absolutely.
You should know that. Yeah, you should know that. Like if you're a good sociology students, you know that there are some thinkers who have said such general stuff that they can be applied anywhere. Second,
So-
Parsons, the Agile framework, that can be applied everywhere. So once you are very intimate with the science, then you are understanding these are the very general tools that can be applied universally, and you can do it.
Great. Vivek, what's the best way to present your answers in the answer sheet? Like students are like wondering between, essay form or points form. Should they be incorporating diagrams? So how do you
See,
look at this?
yeah. I'll tell you two things about this. In 2018, especially in GS, I used a lot of diagrams.
Yes.
And I'm a very content heavy person because I told you, right? I make notes out of notes. So my content is very good. Like I built my content, right? From different sources. So content wise, my answers were great. But structurally, I think there was an issue. I used too many spider diagrams, too many tables. In the end, all my GS scores went down. That's why I ended up with 677. GS couldn't be trusted. But this time I had a very traditional approach because I feel that at the end of the day, people who might be correcting our answer sheets might be from a traditional space. I'm not saying it in a sad space, but yeah, fine. They need something to have flesh on it, not just diagrams. So this time I had a very traditional approach. My introduction would be paragraphs. In paper one, I do not go for many bullet points because history and geography require some kind of elaboration. On the other hand, when it comes to GS2 and GS3, I have more bullet points at the body. Again, the final conclusion will again be in paragraphs. Apart from this, I always use diagrams in the form of maps. Maps are the only diagrams I subscribe to. If I can draw an India map and do something on it, I'll do it. I'll never use, I've stopped using, in 2009, I did not use any of the spider diagram thing. I think a lot of people think it's lame. Yeah.
Okay. And how about the optional papers? How did you approach?
I'm very traditional. No, I don't draw anything in the optional paper. I write it out. And one thing I'm really good at with the papers is that I complete my papers in time. I had 4 minutes for every GS paper, but sociology had nothing left. But anyways, sociology was a steep chase. But on the other hand, with GS papers, I always have 4 to 5 minutes left, which I underline and read through and stuff.
Incredible. Because most students, at least during their preparation, they're struggling with even completing the paper. So, for formality's sake, I'll ask you again, though I know the answer. Did you complete for 250 marks all papers in GS and the optional? Or did you leave out significant portions?
Yes, I did. If I did leave out, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Absolutely.
The exam has become such a monster. Yeah.
Yes.
In 2017, it was okay to leave a question or two, but now there is no space. There is no way you can leave anything.
Absolutely. Okay, so how was your preparation strategy for the general studies? Was it like segregated for prelims and mains, or was it an integrated preparation? Or did you segregate it at some stage? How was it?
Yeah. So for the prelims, it was a segregated prep. Okay, especially my serious attempt in 2017 and 18. Like the first one where I was giving it with work, I couldn't do much. Once I quit my job, I was really dedicated to it, and hence I segregated my prep properly. The prelims prep is very pedestrian. It's a very pedestrian prep right now. You need to mug up facts, you need to build tables, you need to know wildlife sanctuaries, rivers, and whatnot and whatnot. Unless you are ready to get down, like I had 2 degrees, like an IIT Trichy and I am Calcutta, and then I was like, I'm pretty much too big for by hunting things. No, if that is the attitude you have, you might not even clear prelims.
You
That's
need
what
a
I feel.
learner's
You
attitude
have to
also.
come down. Yes. You have to come down to that very level to mug up everything in the current affairs facts. Otherwise, you're not clearing this. Yeah, and I did that. On the other hand, mains prep was more analytical, a bit more analytical. Though there is a lot to by heart and cram and stuff. Yes, it's required. But there is a lot of analysis in mains. UPSC questions are really challenging. I've seen last two mains. I've written two mains. I've cleared both of them, and I found the questions in UPSC really challenging. It's really good.
So Vivek, let's begin with the academic queries first. Which portion of the UPSC preparation, portion did you find academically the most challenging?
See, for me it was polity because a lot of I think people also say it's economics. For me, it was not economics because I had an IIM Calcutta background, so economics was not an issue. But somewhere I required some foundation building was polity because I had nothing. I have never seen law as such nor constitution in any sense, so I had to crack it open. What exactly is this? How is it structured? The constitution? Why are some articles here? Why are some articles here? What are the relations and what issues? What articles? Everything. So polity, I found it a bit challenging, and governance, yes.
Polity and governance was the toughest. Great. Vivek, can you share with us what is it that has motivated you to prepare for the civil services?
A few things. One is the fact that I come from a social space which is not like I come from a backward social space, let's say. So I have seen while I was living with my family and the place I was in struggles across.
Yes.
So it was because of my mother's kind of initiative that I got a good education. She got me to an Anglo-Indian school in Kerala, and thanks to the state, I told you again, with very subsidized education, you get Anglo-Indian schools and then teachers who speak in English. So that really helped me. I was in NIT Trichy. I was thinking after NIT Trichy, I was thinking of getting into the services because I thought that somewhere I can contribute to. Because I come from such a space, I felt more responsible than others. That if I could make it, I could help others also make it. But there was no money with me because I told you the investment is good. So then that's why I went for CAT because the risk was lesser and there was more probability of me getting into some IIM or the other.
Yes.
I did get into Calcutta, which is one of the best IIMs. And then after that, with Samsung, I started saving and started investing. The moment I joined Samsung, I took all the bonus I had and put it into one coaching institution and started going for classes.
So your journey has been pretty much self-financed and self-motivated.
Yeah. Like most of the first generation people, there's no other way. There's no other way. It takes time and money.
Right. Okay. And how about your interview preparation? How did you go about your interview preparation? If you could shed some light on that.
Yeah. So, see, I come from a management background, so I am a bit prepared with interviews. Let me say that first.
Yes.
Right. I have been giving interviews for multi MNCs across. But given that the UPSC interview is a bit much more, it's a bit different when it comes to content, not when it comes to the body language and other things. So we have the DAF, right? The content you're preparing upon. I never prepare on my stage for, let's say, a job interview. I don't have to do that. Here, I need to have a PhD on my stage. Yeah. So, so that's one thing. So you have the DAF, right? The detailed application form.
Yes.
So what I do is I take the DAF, I go word by word by word, right? Every line or every word in the DAF, I will have another set of things where I have written it in detail. What are the possible questions from here? What am I going to say if they ask me something from here? What is this? So I had built another set of work. If my DAF would be wafer thin, but I had this much big notes on whatever is inside.
Great.
So anything that is coming from the DAF, I am going to ace it. That's my interview.
So you didn't just walk into the interview hall. You had a full agenda before you after the mains. And
yes. Anyways, this exam has so much risk. Why do you want to introduce risk into it, right? So that is a huge thing. Like whatever you can possibly do, that should be done. Other autonomous variables, right? Things that are randomly asked in the interview, that you can't help. This is in your hand. These are the controllable variables, right?
So how was your interview experience? The actual UPSC interview, was it like a kind of do they try to create a stressful situation or do they try to, put you at ease, and how was it?
Yeah, I've gone to two interviews. Both of the interviews they have put me at ease. Though the
Yes.
first interview didn't give me much marks, but but
Nevertheless, they'll definitely put you at ease. Yeah.
yeah, after the interview I felt it was good, but then when the marks came, no. So, anyways, this interview, I specifically talk about this interview. This was done by Mr. T.C. Anand, who was the Chief Statistician of India.
Yes.
So then he is the one who interviewed me. It was a very good interview for me because he kept it to DAF. Every question that was thrown at me came from the DAF. So I
Great.
already told you that DAF was very well prepared, so I could ace
And
it.
which you are very well prepared. Huh? So it was
Yeah,
your comfort
yeah.
zone in a way. Yeah.
Very, and especially hobbies. He has been checking me on hobbies, and I don't write random hobbies. I write very sincere hobbies which I really pursue. Right. So
Great.
in that sense, also like mine was movie reviewing, so a lot of questions on movies and how I review things. So that was really good.
Are you expected to be cerebral in the interview, or is it okay to be ordinary?
It's totally okay to be ordinary. I've seen people like I speak good English, and that itself is not at all a criteria in these interviews, which is really nice because people come from different social backgrounds. They might not have the control on the English language as much other people do, and it's very important that UPSC creates a very good level ground for everyone, and that is done there. I've seen people with limited social soft skills scoring like 50, 60 marks more than me. That's huge, right? And
Yeah.
that's where there is an inherent what do you say, justice in the system. That's what I feel.
Absolutely. So can you share about your family background, like what kind of occupations, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so I come from a scheduled caste background. So we are actually performers of Theyyam in Kerala. So this is a cultural art form which is performed by our caste. One of the reasons I took up sociology also because when I reached IIM Calcutta, I understood why exactly our lives are structured in a manner, in a particular manner, and sociology did really help to analyze all those issues.
Yes.
So basically, what happens is in these spaces, because it's a cultural art form, a lot of alcohol is given free to our people, especially men. Men perform this art form. So this inebriation causes systematic alcoholism in men among our caste, and they die faster. Their lifespan is lesser because my father died. I told you. His brother also had died earlier. All this because they have been associated with such a culture. Which is systematically driven. That is the issue here. So that's one of the reasons. It's not. I'm not saying that I'll go back and do things for my caste alone or anything like that. There are multiple issues based on caste or gender because my mother also struggled a lot because of this. So I can see how gender works. So
Yeah.
I've seen these variables which really are at strife in society. So I want to work for them. It's not just for my caste or anything. There are many people across castes and across gender who are facing issues. It may need not be a lower caste or an upper caste or some middle caste. I don't care. Anyone who is troubled across the structure, I know how troubles work. I know how difficult it is to live through all this and still make it in the world. So I want to give back to those people who are struggling. Who I can, if I can lend a hand or a finger, I'll be.
That's a very frank and heart-touching, should I say, kind of thought that you've shared. Okay, Vivek, also can you share the contributions of your mother, your other family members, possibly? Yeah.
Yeah. A few people have played. One is my mother. Yes, initially she used to take us to all movies here. I mean, she used to take us to English movies, Hindi cinema. I can talk in Hindi left, right, center. There's no issue with Hindi as such.
Yes.
And I used to watch a lot of Sas Bahu serials also. Let me be honest. So that's where I learned Hindi. Right, my speaking ability comes from Sas Bahu serials. I'm very proud of it also. No issue. So yeah. So and that had me moving actually. So my mother used to take me to all English movies. So and then most of the time I wouldn't understand, and I'll ask her what is this, and she's like, I don't think she also understands much,
Yes.
but still, she says there'll be a time you'll understand. Now you just watch it, understand that these worlds exist, and someday or the other you're gonna crack into these worlds, and I did crack into it. Right, I watch world cinema now across. I review cinema. I have a blog. That is my hobby during, and it was heavily discussed during the interview. They
Yeah.
asked me how exactly do you review movies. That and all came through, and I think my mother has to do a lot with that.
Great.
So she was the only person, like we used to go after her work. She used to work in post office. Anyways, that's one. Secondly, my sister has also been very supportive. Whenever I did not have any money or anything during prep, she'll just send it. She's working in the Middle East, so she'll send money from there. She's financed at least like 10 to 15% of my education and my at least this coaching space.
Yes.
the preparation space. And thirdly, I had a friend, I told you, right, Pratik, who is 724 this time. He is there in the rank list. So he also did help a lot to find an accommodation and to find, and he also did help me financially. And it's from him who I understood what work ethic is and what organization is. He is very organized. He knew this is this is how you study, this is how you make notes. So a lot of things I could learn from him.
Okay. So, was there any point of time in your preparation when you felt I should be out of it?
First time I was at least thinking of clearing the prelims, which I lost for 0.6 marks. I think I was working then. Then I wrote it. So I lost that pre. I was expecting to clear it. I was really sad. I was thinking that I should go back to corporate. But Pratik, my friend, I told you that he just came to me and told me that you should be a civil servant. You have no space in corporate. That's not a space you belong to, right?
Great.
And he was telling me that yeah, you would do it, and I did. That's what I owe him.
Great.